range of alleged crimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to make sense of something that enormous,
Yeah.
he explains he used a pretty sophisticated system inside the document. Groupings, color code, a specific hierarchy for sorting and formatting the list.
So it's not just a list, it's structure.
Exactly. He claims it was designed to be navigable and actually to exposure-free information, just the way it's structured and presented.
Interesting. And if people listening are curious and want to try and find this document, the source mentioned a few places.
Yeah, he gives a few access points. Reportedly, spyhell.org evidence. And look for a link titled Xi Jinping 9/11/24 minutes. Also apparently within an archive folder there under legal communications. Then Forms 211. And he mentions direct domain to form211.org. Says it redirects straight to the document.
Right, so let's circle back to that nav boost of crime idea. The ranking system within this massive document, how does that actually work, according to the source?
He says it boils down to three main things. One, the alleged entity's monetary importance. How much money is involved. Two, its alleged danger to the world. How harmful it supposedly is.
Right.
And three, its alleged proximity. How close it is to the top political leader of whatever group it belongs to within the network.
So something ranked really high would be like financially significant, considered very dangerous, and close to a major leader.
That's the idea. And he gives an example to show how it works, comparing Raul Castro and Bill Gates.
Okay.
He claims Castro actually ranks higher than Gates in this system. Now, obviously, Gates has huge monetary influence.
Immense, yeah.
But the source claims Castro is considered more dangerous because of his alleged control over military forces, weapons, intelligence services deployed globally. So, in this ranking, perceived danger can apparently outweigh pure financial amounts.
Huh. That's a fascinating insight into weighting up. Let's start going back to players here. Look at the key groups and who the alleged players the source highlights. But just to be crystal clear for everyone listening, we're just reporting what the source material claims. We are not endorsing or validating any of this.
Absolutely critical point. We're describing the content of the document as presented. So, according to this report, the very top entity, the number one identified with a CS prefix, is El Cartel de los Soles.
The cartel of the sun.
Yeah. The source alleges it's a major international drug trafficking group tied very closely to the Venezuelan military.
And the source claims this cartel is basically the alleged primary ATM for the whole network, providing the illicit funds that fuel everything else.
That's the allegation, that this funding enables impunity, lets them compete unfairly because, as the source puts it, money is not an object for them.
Okay. Then there's a group he calls the Founding Fathers, with the PP prefix.
Right. This is a theory presented based on the author's data analysis. He suggests three individuals kind of got the whole thing started before the current alleged leadership took over.
And these are?
Ayatollah from Iran, Raul Castro from Cuba, and Bill Gates from the U.S.
Wow, that's quite a trio. What's the alleged connection?
The hypothesis is they formed an early coalition. Gates allegedly bringing the tech know-how, Castro providing ground support, especially inside the U.S., and the Iranians handling operations elsewhere, maybe using BAM, RS, trucks. The source actually ranks them in that initial group. Iran first, then Cuba, then the U.S.
And this early group allegedly paved the way for leaders like Xi Jinping and Putin later on.
That's the claim. He also throws in a detail about Bill Gates' alleged interest in the Stanford linear accelerator, SLAC, and how that's perceived as dangerous to this run. Get this, light it, amplified. So mostly represents the data tracking around 17,000 properties, like just this founding father. led by Vladimir Putin, who the source calls the second most powerful and dangerous figure globally, right after Xi Jinping.
And who's listed under Putin?
Some interesting names. Ron Sargent, the former CEO of Kroger, and apparently number 2 in the specific Russian complex. Governors of the U.S. Federal Reserve were mentioned. Also the CEO of a company called Leona Technologies, Tursis, was allegedly uses fake news for manipulation. And the source notes some people, like Bill Mike, supposedly show up on multiple lists, like the Egyptian and Russian teams. This alleged Russian group is even bigger group than the 111 entities.
Wow, what about the possibility? How many of them?
Emirates, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, India, Vatican, France, Egypt, Dominican Republic, Korea, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Argentina, El Salvador, EU political leaders, the general Latin American team.
Within all these lists, there are specific examples mentioned.
Some are really specific and maybe jarring, like naming alleged agents in Katy, Texas, Mohammed Faraz Ahmed, Amir Isa, Luis Martinez, Ronald Patiarroyo, people supposedly operating locally.
Right, and alleged liability linked to people at big companies.
Yeah, mentions individuals who work at places like Medscape, Mohammed Umar Masood, or Goldman Sachs, Mohammed Usman, Steve Strain, Pierre Obinyar, eBay found. Yeah, listen about the Iranian and French teams allegedly appearing somehow in the French industry.
Okay, any other companies there?
Occupying Technologies, Legal Play, Citrix, Free Spirit LLC. All mentioned as allegedly dangerous in some capacity. It gets very detailed about Venezuelan connections too. Diosdadoxi.com, Alex Saab's alleged role as ambassador to Iran. The author called it bizarre road diplomacy.
And more local case mentions.
Yeah, he mentioned Mark Swisher, owner of Ambassador Petroleum, allegedly living near the author in Katy. Sarah Swisher, linked to a maritime military equipment company. Mayor Malkin, supposedly developed money man, operating out of Silicon Valley.
That's incredibly detailed.
It is. Ronald Patiarroyo is ranked high because of alleged liability in the U.S. Edalberto Molina, the source, alleges his sister dated the author's uncle purely as a tactical move to get close. Wilbur Barrett, namely in connection with a lawsuit, Eli Klein, a lawyer allegedly involved in the kidnapping of the author's son. It's a lie.
Definitely a lot. And you mentioned something about the Cuban team structure.
Yeah, an interesting claim there. That the structure allegedly pairs Cuban political figures with U.S. billionaires who act as frontmen for their interests. The source uses Jeff Bezos and Amazon as a specific example, alleges a link back to Castro's interests, based on a claim about Bezos' parents having Cuban origins.
And across all these leaders, is there a pattern the source points out?
One thing he highlights is how long many of these top political figures across different teams have been in power. Often a decade, sometimes much longer, and some, he alleges, are actively trying to get rid of term limits, looking to stay in charge for 20, 30, maybe 40 years or more. Suggests, if true, very long-term strategic thinking.
Any other specific names that stood out?
He calls out Michael Shepard and Hewlett Packard from Google, linking them to the spinal.org documentation. Flags them as important to investigate due to alleged liability and what it might mean for Google.
And the Indian team.
Allegedly led by PM Modi, with prominent U.S. tech CEOs like Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai listed as allegedly working for him. The author claims to have personally worked with some individuals he lists in this section.
Okay, and one more organization mentioned. Smartmatic.
Yeah, described as particularly dangerous. The source alleges it's involved in faking election results around the world, manipulating outcomes, effectively selecting governments. A very serious allegation.
Understood. And throughout all this, the author's stated goal is?
He keeps coming back to it.